Hello, and welcome to another edition of Business Automations with Ben. Today's going to be a little different than you're used to because I'm here to announce that we just added all of your favorite podcasts as brand new services on IFT. We'll discuss some of the challenges that people face with podcasts, how IFT can alleviate some of those challenges, and of course, we'll review some of the podcasts themselves. If this is your first time hearing of IFT, welcome. At IFT, we help solopreneurs and small business owners by connecting and automating the tools that they use every day. If you'd like to learn how to automate your small business, simply like this video and subscribe for more of this content. First up, we have the This American Life podcast, which explores a range of topics from current events and politics to personal narratives and historical events, offering its listeners a deep, entertaining insight into the American life. The trigger for this first upload, of course, is coming from the This American Life podcast service. Select new episode. Then for our action statement, we're going to click add, and we're going to select pocket, and we're going to save for later. Only thing we need to do here is where it says URL, we need to map this to enter URL, create action. The This American Life podcast comes out once a week, and what this applet is going to do is if we can't listen to the episode when it comes out, we can save it in our pocket so we can get to it later. We can achieve this very same thing with a service like Instapaper. And if you're like me and you have an iPhone, you can add this to your weekly iOS reading list. If you want to be able to prioritize and then schedule this as a task, you can do so in a service like ToDoist or Google Task or any of the task management platforms you see here. Next up, we have the Daily Podcast from the New York Times, hosted by Michael Barbaro. The Daily digs deep into the heart of the day's biggest news stories, offering an in-depth behind-the-scenes look at the world of news reporting. Just like last time, this applet is going to fire every time there's a new episode from the Daily Podcast. For our action, we'll click add, and I'm going to search for email digest. We're going to add this to a weekly email. The time of day, 7 a.m., change the day of the week to Saturday, map item URL to enter URL, and create action. Now, the way this applet is going to function is the New York Times releases this podcast, the Daily, Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. So I can try to listen to this podcast every day, but let's say I miss Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday's episodes. What this applet will do is it'll take all 5 episodes and send them to me in a weekly email that I'll get Saturday morning at 7 a.m., just in time for my morning walk so I can listen to the episodes that I might have missed from that week. And finally, one of my favorites, the Darknet Diaries. The Darknet Diaries is a popular podcast that dives into the shadowy world of cybercrime, privacy, and technology. Each episode narrates true stories from the dark side of the internet, exploring topics like hacking, data breaches, and cyber warfare. Just like the first two, this applet is going to fire every time there's a new episode for the Darknet Diaries podcast. For our first action, we'll click add, type in Google Sheet. We're simply going to add row to spreadsheet, create action. Next, we're going to hit this plus button at the bottom, and we're going to search for Google Calendar, and we're going to create a detailed event. For start time, next Monday at 3 p.m. For end time, next Monday at 4 p.m. All day event, no, and create action. I'm now going to hit the plus button a second time to add a third action. I'm going to search for Twitter or X. We're simply going to post a tweet and create action. Okay, so the way this applet is going to work is every time the Darknet Diaries comes out with a new episode, it's going to do several things for me. First, it's going to add that episode and its ingredients into a Google spreadsheet. Once there, I can do several things. I can check off whether I've listened to that episode. I can take notes on the episode. I can then share that document with several of my friends that can do the same thing as well. And that can create like a virtual book club, but for podcasts. Next, it's going to mark off 1 hour in my calendar from Monday at 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., which is going to give me time to actually listen to the podcast and prioritize this in my busy schedule. Finally, it's going to post about this new episode to Twitter. Because I like the podcast so much, I'm excited there's a new episode, so of course, I want to let my audience know about it. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you got something to say, let us know in the comments. Also, you can click the link here for more IFT videos, and I'll see you next week for another edition of Business Automations with Ben.